vacation, Barb?
Yeah, see a daughter.
Oh, good. Oh, how exciting.
Yeah. Carolina. All right, welcome to the regular meeting of the Inland Wetlands Agency and Conservation Commission. And I think everyone on the commission has their name showing, so we shall ask, is there any public participation for an item that is not on our agenda? Had anything come in?
No.
All right, then we're on to the business. Jeff, any permit extensions?
No permit extensions.
Correspondence and reports?
None.
Bonds?
No bonds.
And, all right. The minutes from our last meeting, April 21st. I see a thumbs up from John. I thought they looked good. And from Jack? Head nod from Adam. All
Hey,
right.
Barb, they look good.
All right. Then we should want to approve the minutes by consensus. We'll accept the
Yes.
minutes. Okay. Jeff, a Conservation Commission report.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, we had a pretty good showing this Saturday here at the town hall for our monthly invasive species removal group.
All right.
And also, I had about 6 Boy Scouts help me plant 50 shrubs down here on the floodplain.
Wow.
25 blueberry and 25 winterberry. So they did a great job helping, as well as Lisa Copper, who's the Girl Scout leader as well. So
Great.
the weather
Great.
held out, and we got them all planted in the morning, probably about 2.5 hours or so.
And then perfect, we've had rain since, so.
Yes, we have.
Hey, wetland officer.
All right, so we have our three of the issues that are still with us. 40 C-Pave Road. The gentleman there who has I've been working with to rectify the wetland violation there. It's still been too wet to get any machinery into the back there, so we're still waiting for the weather to break a little bit where he can get an excavator back there and remove the material. So we'll hold off at least on that one. He still is, said he's cooperative, so I'm taking his word for it right now. Because like I said, physically, there's really nothing we can do unless it would make a worse mess than it's already there. I believe that you folks got copies of a violation notice for Michaels, which is the electrical contractor for Eversource, and I have not had a response from them yet, but as I mentioned at the last meeting, they didn't complete their site plan per the plan, so we're waiting for a response from them to see what we can do with them. Same thing with Connecticut Soils. That's kind of an interesting one in that the gentleman who's operating the facility there has a very good land use lawyer with him, and his name's Mark Branson, and he's given talks at the Casio workshops and also wetland workshops. He's
Right.
one of the preeminent land use lawyers around. And he does represent Mitch Flynn, which is Connecticut Soils. So, and Michelle is on very good speaking terms with him. So we were able to contact him, explain the nature of the violation there. And he actually took his client out there to look at it and called Michelle and said, "We're absolutely right. My client is going to comply. We're going to put together a restoration plan on it." So we were pleasantly surprised to hear the landowner's lawyer kind of agree with us as more than usually we'll get a different response, but he certainly couldn't disagree with what was out there.
And he
So
certainly knows the law, so.
he does. So
He spoke at the most recent, the Connecticut Bar Association land use law. He did a section in that book.
Yep.
And spoke at the Saturday seminar just in March.
So
Good to know.
Yeah, we will be expecting a restoration plan for that. One of the things that he did mention that his client wanted to utilize the area, the western portion of that area, or work with Michaels to do a little bit of a swap on it, because in looking at the entire area, you've got Connecticut Soils on the eastern portion, Michaels Electrical on the middle, and then Connecticut Soils is using a strip on the western portion adjacent to the railroad tracks, if you will, just to give you an idea. So he did talk about possibly having Michaels slide a little bit over to the west with their utilization, their yard, and then Connecticut Soils utilize a portion of the property that would be adjacent to his current operation, which would be a modification of a site plan. I'm not sure how well that's going to go with planning and zoning on that, so we'll have to see. But obviously, first and foremost, we want him to fix the problem that he's caused with grading over the top of the bank in the wetland area adjacent to the Podunk River. So.
Very good. And even short of the full plan, are they doing anything towards stabilization immediately?
They have not, no.
Could we pursue something?
Well, at this point, it's about a 20-foot slope, so the only thing that they would be able to do for stabilization would be to probably install some hay bales at the toe of the slope. It's almost vertical. It may be something to take a look at.
So seeding wouldn't take either. Okay.
I expect that the material is going to be removed before any kind of seeding is really going to take hold.
Okay.
They could do a hay mulch, but again, it's kind of almost a vertical slope, so there's not a whole lot other than removing everything that's been placed on there away, and then go through and stabilize it.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? Any questions on that? So, do we have any options for pursuing Eversource and the Michaels contractor?
Well, yeah, I'm waiting for them to respond. They, like I said, they did get the violation notice. So if I don't get any response from them, then we can bring that up to a cease and desist order. They do have a wetland permit with us because they were operating within the 80-foot upland review area. So certainly revoking their permit could be, something that could be considered by the commission.
So we may see that at our next meeting, if we don't hear. Okay. Thanks.
And then the next meeting will be a face-to-face meeting. We will be meeting in the council chambers. So we're still trying to work out some of the logistics to getting the public in there, and also obviously presenters, and then keeping the appropriate distances. So as I get information from the town manager's office, I'll transmit it to you folks before the next meeting.
Great, thanks. Right. So then we are on to our next item, which is the continuation of the public hearing from April 21st. we don't have to legal notice the continuation. We noticed it once, so is there anyone from the applicant to address this?
Okay, for some reason, I'm not being able to see the attendees on my screen here.
I see it.
But we would want, you know, Ben included in there. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I expect there's Jim Barrett wanting to get in for this application, Matt Sanford, a Judd Christopher, possibly a Kate Turner or a Chuck Warrington. Matt Montana, possibly. And David Dixon, my understanding was he was going to be a little bit late. I'm not sure if he's on yet or not. I don't think they are for our application.
It would be for the second application.
Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, thank you, Ms. Kelly and members of the commission. Obviously, we met with you 2 weeks ago, presented the plan for the new Pleasant Valley Elementary School. Leaving that meeting, we really didn't feel, we felt like the review was good, that we didn't have any outstanding comments or questions that needed to be addressed at that point. And obviously, you know, as standard protocol with a project this size, understand that you did keep the public hearing open in case there was an opportunity to give another opportunity for the public to comment if they were not able to join last time. So really, we don't have anything new to present this evening, and welcome, you know, any public participation or additional comments from the commission or Mr. Folger.
Okay, then we'll start with that. Has anyone, we'll check in, did anyone from the public either submit a comment, or are anyone from the public waiting to make comment tonight? Thank you. Okay, and Jeff, had anyone submitted anything in the interim?
No one from the public has submitted anything. I did get a verbal report from the town engineer that he's satisfied with the stormwater management structures and the report.
And the calculation, okay. All right, thank you. And from the commission, has anyone, did another thought or question occur to anyone on the commission in the last 2 weeks? Okay. All right, I see no further comments. I didn't have an additional question either. So does anyone from the commission like to make a motion?
Move to close the public hearing on application 21-21P.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? I hear no one opposed. Anyone abstaining? And I hear no one abstaining. So the motion to close the public hearing carries unanimously.
Move based on the information given in the public hearing on the evidence in whole, move a motion of no prudent or feasible alternative, of finding a no prudent or feasible alternative.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. All right, a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? People felt. Okay, everyone's concurring. All right, then we'll call for a vote. All in favor of the finding as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it looks like everyone, is there anyone opposed? I see no one opposed and anyone abstaining. I see no one abstaining. Thank you. So the motion or the finding of no prudent and feasible alternatives carried. Right. And then what
Move
is
to
it?
approve application 2121P, standard terms and conditions. It's a town project. I don't think the town will take care of bonding subcontractors, correct? So we don't need to do it.
But the subcontractors will be bonded, correct? Jeff?
Yes, they will be, yeah, the engineering department does ask for bonds for them.
Thank you. All right, Jeff, please continue. All right.
Okay, I didn't see need for any additional or special conditions. Did any other commissioner see a need for a special condition?
Nope.
No,
Okay. All right, then, is there a second to the motion as presented?
second,
Second.
Was that Betty first this time? Okay.
That was me, yeah.
Discussion on the motion.
I'd like to say that I think the design as presented does a quite good job of overall taking into account the wetlands that are on the site and do the remediation and the reconstruction as a replacement for them, coupled with the educational aspects. That overall it turned out to be a good plan that didn't sacrifice safety for the sake of the one wetland, one rather insignificant wetland. I guess that's not the correct term, but one that was not exactly a high productive wetland.
Okay. Thank you. Any other, someone else like to comment? Dick, please.
Yeah, I'd like to say that, you know, the initial meeting we had, pre-application meeting, was very useful. The design professionals listened to us, they took our concerns, and I think they came up with a very good option to at least mitigate on the property that's there, which is always our primary way we want to go. And I think Ben and his team did a super job of fitting all the requirements into this plan, and I think it'll be a great school.
Thank you,
Yes.
Dick. All right. Any other?
I can
Commissioner like to-
concur.
I couldn't tell who that was.
That was me. I
John.
concur, yeah.
John, thank you. All right. I see no one else. You know, from my perspective, I really think citing the mitigation area in proximity to the stormwater kind of consolidates sort of the best of both of those and makes a larger little mini ecological area. And I think that really adds a lot. I also think, you know, the erosion and sediment controls presented made a lot of sense on that site.
Yeah.
Right? Paul, you're lit up. Were you going to comment?
no, looked good to me.
Okay, thanks. And Betty?
Yeah, yes. It did turn out to be a very good plan.
Okay, all right. No other comments? I'm just calling as people's little boxes turn blue there. That's all right. So if there's no further discussion, we'll call for a vote on the motion as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. It looked like everyone, but anyone opposed? I see no one opposed. Is anyone abstaining? And no one abstained, so that motion also carried unanimously. Right.
Good.
Wait, thank you very much for the presentation and the attention, and you know, you're
Yeah.
all set. You have a permit.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for the discussion at the preliminary meeting and the kind comments. And yeah, we expect everybody will be excited once the school's ready to open here in a couple of years. So everybody stay safe and look forward to seeing you in person again here soon.
All right, thank you, Ben.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Bye, Tom. All right. And now, so we've taken care of the first item of new business. Now we're on to the second item of new business, which is application 21-22W, the Promenade Shops at Evergreen Walk,
So
801 Evergreen Way. Is someone on to speak to this?
Mike, if you could let Dave Gagnon, Dean Gustafson, and Karen Johnson in. Thanks. I think Dave is still muted.
Good evening, folks. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
He's
my name's-
muted. Oh, Dean, okay, Dean is speaking, all right, and Dave is muted. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, folks. My name's Dean Gustafson. I'm a professional soil scientist, senior wetland scientist with All Points Technology. Here tonight on behalf of the applicant. We prepared a short presentation to kind of discuss the project and the regulated activities. So if I could share some content. It doesn't look like I'm able to do that. Okay, there we go. Thank you. So I think you can see my screen now.
Yep.
So here, the applicant, Charter Realty and Development Corporation, is proposing a project, Evergreen Walk. Here tonight with me is Karen Johnson of Charter Realty and Development Corporation, as well as David Gagnon, Connecticut licensed professional engineer with Langen Engineering. The applicant is seeking a wetland permit to redevelop the two existing retail buildings, currently identified as the Old Navy and the Sakura Japanese Restaurant, which is the former Highland Park Market site, with a new retail building. This is essentially where my cursor is showing the general project area, just north of the Rotary Circle intersection with Hemlock Avenue and Evergreen Way. The subject property currently consists of the existing commercial retail buildings with paved access and parking areas, with Evergreen Way bisecting the two buildings, shown through here. And one wetland resource area was identified early this year during a February 17th investigation consisting of a channelized drainage swale feature. And that's this area highlighted in green. north side of the project. The drainage swale feature is regulated as an imminent watercourse along the north side of the site, with the majority of the hydrology feeding this intermittent watercourse consisting of stormwater from Buckland Road as well as developed areas to the east off of this graphic. In total, the site contains approximately 2,600 square feet of the intermittent watercourse feature, and then there's approximately 6/10 of an acre of the 80-foot upland review area identified in this green dashed line located on the subject property. The 80-foot upland review area associated with the intermittent stream feature extends onto the existing development, including a portion of one of the buildings. Limited, as seen in this aerial photography, limited vegetation buffers the regulated feature, and that which would exist is dominated by woody invasive vines and shrubs in the understory. There is some scattered tree canopy cover over this feature, and the previous disturbances and existing development, along with the high level of human activities in and around this feature, diminish typical wetland function and values supported by this narrow intermittent watercourse corridor, with the principal function consisting of conveyance of stormwater flows. The applicant seeks to demolish the 2 existing retail buildings and associated improvements and construct a 50,000 square foot retail building within the existing development footprint of the site. No direct impact to the intermittent watercourse would result from the proposed work activities. Program needs of the proposed retail building do require some of the redevelopment activities to occur within the 80-foot upland review area. However, all those regulated activities would occur within existing developed and disturbed areas and would not require removal of trees or mature vegetation either within the intermittent watercourse feature or immediately adjacent to it. Proposed activities within the upland review area would encompass approximately ½ acre, and as I noted earlier, all of that work is confined primarily within existing developed disturbance. The proposed stormwater management system will effectively manage the quality and quantity of stormwater runoff from the proposed project, consistent with the approved master plan for Evergreen Walk. The overall impervious coverage has actually been reduced with this redevelopment by approximately 0.5%. In addition, the overall peak flow rates have been reduced, and the additional water quality measures will be incorporated into the new stormwater management system. This will have an effect of improving stormwater quality discharging from the site, which eventually makes it into wetland systems much further west of the project area within the Evergreen Walk project property. Water quality best management practices have been incorporated into the overall stormwater management system, including rain gardens and permeable pavers, along with some catch basins and 3 water quality units. Although the project will not directly impact the intermittent watercourse resource and is limited to activities within the existing developed disturbed upland areas, the project does provide an opportunity to improve the function of this wetland system in immediately adjacent buffer zone to compensate for some of the unavoidable activities in the upland review area. As such, we proposed a 5,000 square foot enhancement planting along the intermittent stream. The enhancements would consist of removal of invasive woody shrubs and vines in the understory and replant with native species with a particular focus on improving wildlife habitat function. Native shrubs such as dogwoods, juniper, and willow will provide cover, food, and nesting habitat to a variety of small wildlife species with a focus on supporting avian species. These shrubs will also have a secondary benefit of improving the aesthetics of this wetland feature. Considering the project avoids any direct wetland impact, is isolated to work within an existing developed disturbed upland review area, will provide a reduction in impervious surface within the upland review area, provide improvements to stormwater quality treatment and, mitigation activities for enhancement of the riparian corridor will be provided. The project will not result in a likely adverse impact to wetland resources. So that's the conclusion of our presentation. I'll hand it back over to the chairman, and the project team is available to answer any questions you may have.
Great, oh, you're gonna leave the screen up, okay. Thank you. First, staff, Jeff, are there any comments that you'd like to add? Or has there been review by the town engineer?
Yes, the town engineer has reviewed the stormwater management plan, and he basically has no adverse comments at all as far as that's concerned. I would mirror Dean's comments on the functionality of the existing wetland on there, and the enhancement plantings that are proposed can only, I think, increase the viability of that small system on there. And really, from a practical matter, avians or birds are really the only wildlife species that are going to either currently using the area or would benefit from the plantings on there. There is a proposal to develop the open area to the north as well. So this really will be surrounded by development ultimately when everything is built out.
I would think the work to remove invasives certainly is worthwhile, because anytime invasives are removed, particularly near a watercourse where, seeds can be carried down the watercourse and into the broader wetland below, it's an advantage to stop some of that. Commissioners.
I'd like to make a comment. The use of rain garden is something I like to see, and they have it listed here, so hopefully that'll help the environment a little bit.
Very good. All right. Dick? Yep.
I was out there looking at the water course, and that water course is in pretty bad shape. It's almost to the point where you can't even tell where the ditch is, that transmits the water on, and I was wondering, you're going to remove invasives and things like that, or is there any attempt to either harden or more establish the ditch so the water has a better chance of flowing by? It seems to me in the upper area where it right after it crosses, from the storm sewer buckling under the road there, it's pretty flat, and there's the nail place that's there. I'm surprised they don't get during really heavy rain water that overflows into that. So I was wondering if there's going to be any attempt to make the purpose of that ditch as drainage more functional.
So we actually did talk with some of the tenants and the folks that manage the facility, and there are no reports of any flooding in that area. But I mean, your point is well taken. We currently don't have any plans of modifying that existing channel, but it's certainly something that I think the applicant would be willing to take a look at during construction. And we can certainly work with staff, with Jeff Folger, if as we're reworking the site, if it makes sense to rework the channel a little bit, we could possibly entertain that. But right now we don't have any current plans. It's fairly well armored behind this facility. There's already some gabion walls, stone walls, that are containing the flows through the back of the site.
Okay. Yeah, I suggest working with Jeff if it comes down to, should I do this, or can I do this? Jeff is the guy to see.
Yeah, Dick, if, and Dean did mention that this area of that water course was armored, from, some of the past, developments and mitigation for some of the past developments, that there actually were some more unstable areas to that channel that were, protected by gabions and stone gabions in there, so there has been some work to it, but, yeah, we can certainly take a look, as they're progressing through and see if there's any areas that would benefit from any further stabilization.
Right now, all that's proposed is planting in that area
That's correct.
as part of this app. Okay. So significant work would have to come back. But I saw a head shake. That, yeah.
No.
I don't think there needs to be significant work. I think it's something that can be worked with Jeff during the process. I don't think we need to hold anybody up for this, construction phase anyway.
If they worked with Jeff, would they have to come in front of us again? If they were to do work?
So the commission permits activities. So right now they're proposing certain types of activities. So if it was, relatively minor kind of work that wouldn't really reach a threshold, but, and there's where Jeff should make the call, So I would say if there's heavy work, big equipment, reworking a channel, we either should be permitting that now, but we don't have a proposal for that, or we should look at it again, not to hold up any of the rest of it.
Hi, this is Karen Johnson. Just maybe a suggestion, and Dean, maybe you can weigh in on this. If there's an issue, for example, of excess sedimentation within that water course, and there was hand removal of that excess sedimentation, which affected the channel, would that be something that you, if you're inclined to approve it this evening, put in as a condition of approval, because it would be further enhancing the wetland area and not something that we're seeking to do as part of our regulated activity.
Right. And certainly something like that, and the commissioners weigh in on this, I would view the handwork as certainly something not needing a permit. And typically we rule, that work that's for the purpose of conservation of something would not require a permit. So.
Yeah, certainly when you consider, the primary function of this is conveyance of stormwater. I mean, you are kind of walking that line between a stormwater feature and then, a natural water course feature. Something like, hand removal of sediment, you can almost consider, maintenance activity, which is, considered either non-regulated or as of right. So I agree with your evaluation, and we can certainly work towards that means during construction if the need so arises.
Any other questions? Yes, I'd weigh in. I think the project, it's a big redo, but it's offering, some improvements over the existing conditions. It's offering, some enhancement to the local wetland area. It's a really flat site. The erosion and sediment controls appear appropriate and adequate. Any other thoughts?
This isn't a question that's directly related to wetlands, but at least on the drawing I'm looking at here, which is CE 101, it appears that the road that gives access to Panera Bread and VIP Nails is being converted into a construction entrance. How are you gonna continue getting access to those stores?
Yeah, I could speak to that. This is Dave Gagnon, Langen Engineering.
David, are you able to share that sheet?
Yeah, sure. So bear with me for a moment here.
It looks like they can still.
Okay, so this is, oops, bear with me here. This is the plan that we're referring to. This is CE 101,
Yeah.
Which is the soil erosion sediment control plan. What you're referring to is, Evergreen Way currently runs through the middle of the site. Part of this project, we will be taking that main road and relocating it to the east side of the site. So pushing all access over here. This will be a phased project. So we anticipate maintaining access through the site from south to north. Access through the site will be kicked to the east as we're working on the west side of the site. So we will have to maintain access to Panera Bread. We're not going to be able to cut them off. So it will be a phased approach, and we will be sensitive to that. So I think it's going to be, working from left to right, and as we're finished over here, we'll kind of swap over traffic to the other side. We're going to have to work with the association and the various tenants to make sure nobody loses access to their site.
So through traffic now is gonna come and make as is northbound, would make a quick dog leg to the right and then left and then circle around the building and then another hard right to cross the bridge and over to LA Fitness.
Yeah, I would anticipate we'll be balancing traffic at one point during construction. If I could just draw on the screen here, I anticipate traffic will come, this direction through the site. And as we're done working there, we might have to kick it maybe around the other side of the site. And we will work with Panera Bread to make sure there's always access to this corner of the site. But it's going to be a phased logistics plan, and we're going to work with planning and zoning to make sure nobody loses access to the property.
Okay, and access to the wetlands and watercourse crossing will stay the same.
That's the anticipation, correct?
Okay.
All right. And then the drainage, could you just, while you're there, highlight which way the drainage from that arc on the northeast side where it curves around the property?
Yeah, sure. And maybe I'll just scroll to our grading and drainage plan. I think it's a little easier to digest. And as Dean mentioned, we're maintaining the current drainage patterns on site consistent with the master plan. Generally, the site drains north to south. We are going to be utilizing the existing drainage facilities, which goes out to a detention basin southwest. The wetlands, it's a little bit peculiar because the wetlands are actually above our site. So none of our site is actually drained to this wetland. But we're not changing the drainage area. So, the drainage to the north will not be impacted whatsoever. Everything is flowing south to an existing detention pond. A few things I would just like to highlight while we're on drainage is there was a question about rain gardens. We did add rain gardens at every location that we could. There's a number of them on the bottom of the site. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're adding permeable pavers where we could. We're adding water quality units. There's actually 3 of them at every discharge point from the site. So we're reducing flows, we're treating water quality, and we're having no drainage impact on those wetlands. And one thing I would also like to add while we're here is we're actually increasing the buffer from the wetlands. If you could see, currently the building over here is very close to that wetland. We're taking down that building and we're increasing the buffer. There is a wall over here. We're taking down that wall. We're able to grade it out. So we're lessening the impacts around the wetlands as well.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions from the commission? So, this is all redevelopment in an existing area? So where are we with our dates? So, it's not a public hearing that we have to hold open, so commission for discussion, would anyone like to propose a motion that we can discuss, or?
Okay, move to approve application 21-22W. Standard terms and conditions. Recommended bond, Jeff?
I'd recommend bond for installation and maintenance of erosion sediment controls of $20,000. A bond for installation of proposed stormwater structures of $20,000, and a bond to ensure the successful plantings of the mitigation plantings of $10,000.
Okay.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, thanks. All right, so now discussion, thoughts on the application?
I'd like to say that, considering it's a redevelopment of an existing, fully developed area, and it appears that they're taking necessary steps to protect the watercourse, wetlands and watercourses to the north, that there is no reason that we shouldn't approve this application.
Good, thank you. Any other thoughts? Nick? Yeah. You're muted.
The application really is to just redevelop an area that's already been developed, but I think the benefit beyond, well, the benefit to the wetlands is going to be the mitigation they're going to do. What's there now is in marginal straits, and we're going to get an improved wetlands function out of this application, and I think that's a benefit we like to see, and sometimes we don't, but this time it seems like they're making the effort to improve a wetlands area that they might not be forced to, which is always nice to see.
Good to see. Right. I'd concur. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no other comment, we'll call for a vote on the motion as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Anyone opposed?
Nope.
Okay, no one's registering opposed. Anyone abstaining? Okay, that motion carried unanimously. The permit is granted. We thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you, folks.
Evening.
Have a good night.
Good night. I see no other old business or other, but I understand there's a new application or a possible one.
Yes, we did receive an application yesterday prior to the end of business, so it is eligible for being received today. This is going to be on South Satellite Road in the industrial area, and we'll be creating a parking lot for one of the businesses that's there. Unitex, they do industrial laundry for the medical field. So they've been incredibly busy, as you can imagine, this year. But historically, they've always had a parking problem in that area, to the extent that they were continually parking on the street. So they're actually going to be acquiring one of the properties that was subdivided out a number of years ago when South Windsor Woods was created, which is the multi-use residential development there to the south. So these are frontage lots along South Satellite Road, and they're going to be creating a 50 car parking lot on one of those parcels. So there is no direct wetland impacts. There'll be activities within the upland review area on there, but no direct wetland impacts. In my opinion, this is not an application that would require a public hearing.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. All right. I know I would concur based on that information, so we'll just leave it scheduled for the next meeting. Thank you. Yeah, and there's been questions in chat about your volume, Jeff, and I think those of us that were on early heard he's got a different setup without the separate microphone. He's using the microphone associated with the camera. So tonight there's nothing we can do, but we'll see for the next time.
I definitely had a better computer down in the dungeon than I do up here with the windows.
Trade-off. All right, I see. All right.
So go get the other computer.
Yeah. They don't have security cameras, do they? You could bring it. All right. And Steve's on. Welcome, Steve. All right. Is there anyone to speak to the last item? The adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Thank you all very much. We'll see you on the 19th.
That's going to be a live meeting?
In person.
In person, yeah, okay.
We'll be in the
All
council
right.
chambers.
All
We'll be
right.
in the council chambers.
Town
Thank you.
council chambers.
Yes.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
That's great.